Hey, Husky fans, welcome back to another episode of Fourth and Inches, a Husky podcast. I am your host tonight. Trevor has given me the host to the keys to the car. It's crazy. I'm UW
God help
Leah.
us.
God help us, exactly. I'm joined by Coach V. Jakey has used his Gone Girl card, and Trevor Mueller is still upset about the catastrophe that's happening down in Westwood, and so he is also absent today. So it's just me and Coach driving the bus, and we are here to talk about the Apple Cup this week. It still sounds strange to talk about the Apple Cup in September, but here we are. People in Pullman will be able to go to that game, not in full, down bodysuits, which is strange, but that will not stop them from drinking heavily. So we're also going to just think about Trevor and Jakey, who are going to be spooning in Jake's Airstream, I think. But let's just talk about this game. What is the vibe that you're feeling heading into Saturday, Coach?
Um, Honestly, I feel like, first of all, I've already complained about this, but it's way too early to have a bye week last week. Now we get the Cougs who contributed to Texas State or wherever they are having a bye week last week. Um, Not intentionally, but the vibes are down on the Palouse, but as a friend pointed out to me, this is their Super Bowl. This is their everything. Like, there's no way that team's thinking about a bowl game. I don't even know if they're thinking about winning this game, but I think that, for a while, they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at us. And it's just up to our guys to, like, execute and do what they're supposed to do. Like, not try to be too amped up and do. You can't win the game on one drive or one play, no matter how much better you are than the next team. So it's just, match the intensity, but don't empty the clip, so to speak, like early on. Like, just wait out the wave of emotion, and eventually it'll wear them.
That's a really good assessment. This game doesn't make me scared in the sense that, we are in grave danger of losing this football game. I don't think that there's that, but I do think what could trap us is that sometimes it's really hard to convince 18 to however old they are, 24 these days, year old kids that this is a team that they have to take seriously because we absolutely have to get the win. What the disadvantage for us is that a win against Washington State really does nothing for us. A win for them against Washington makes their whole season. And we just need to make sure that we take care of business and stay focused and play within ourselves. I think if the Huskies do that, they'll come out victorious by well more than the spread.
And I think the one thing that, you could say, well, it's a trap game. We got Ohio State the following weekend. But I think they probably spent a lot of time talking about last year. And speed option into the boundary. Yeah. But as embarrassing a loss as that was last year, that was a different team. So I think they're well aware. The guys who are returning this year are well aware of how disgusting that felt and how weird it was to play it not in their home stadium and whatnot. And just kind of, well, this is, if they weren't fired up, as soon as the first Coug starts throwing stuff on the field, starts, the weird chants and the whatever, they'll start to feel like, okay, okay, I got something for you. And when the capacity crowd of 1,500 fans starts leaving by halftime, then hopefully we can breathe easy and hopefully everybody just stays healthy.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest hope. I share that is that we get the win, we more than cover, and that everybody stays healthy. And maybe even we just play second and third string guys most of the third and fourth quarter.
I would love to see the backups play a lot because Ohio State's no joke. Despite the guys they lost last year, they're still really good. And we can look ahead. They aren't looking ahead. But the easiest way to make sure that you can kind of focus forward is by being up by 40 points at halftime. It's a good
Yeah,
formula.
I think if a directional Texas school has taught us anything, that's possible. To your
Yeah,
point,
that's
though, as you shared earlier, I think that it's unlikely that we're going to see the version of Washington State that North Texas did, simply because we have purple and gold and of who we are to them. We are big brother, and they're going to play absolutely their best that they're capable of. That doesn't mean that they're going to win. It just means that Huskies are going to have to be prepared to shut them up in the trenches. They're going to do a lot of talking, and we've just got to be prepared for that. And we've just got to make sure that we come with our A game and we get off the field as quick as possible and end the game early.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the starters, the guys who play a lot of heavy minutes, do your job, take it seriously. That is a D1 opponent over there, even if they're struggling, even if they're not very good. And by all accounts, they're not very good. But do your job, don't let them hang around, and move on.
This is the first of I would say, like almost a handful of opponents that are going to be severely outmatched by Washington. So this is your first practice against a team that you are going to be probably head and shoulders better than, and it doesn't mean that you play anything less than your best. In fact, this is your opportunity to play well really early on, and if you can get a really good lead, then maybe your starters can rest.
Yeah, and I haven't watched a lot of Wazoo because I just value my time. And I watched a little bit on Saturday, and I really couldn't take anything away from it because there's like one disaster after another. And it's like, oh my God. And so obviously that's a bad day, and not all days are going to be like that. That's just like if you just woke up and had your worst possible day, that's what Wazoo had. And so what I'm thinking is that for however long, I think they've watched enough of the film of UW to know that A, they're bigger, stronger, faster. B, we don't necessarily have an answer for that Demond kid. I think their answer would have been the kid who's on our in our linebacking core right now this year. I think that would have been, maybe their little answer there. But I think more than anything, I think they're going to just say, we have nothing to lose. You're probably going to see them bring heavy blitz. They're going to be out of character. They're going to just do some things that, they're going to take chances because what do they have to lose? So our biggest thing is just picking up everybody they bring, getting the ball out on time. Demond, we don't need to tackle or run into tackles. We can slide because, these guys are going to do everything they can to get as many hits on you as possible. I don't think they can stay with our wide receivers. I don't think they can handle our running game. But at the same time, we've seen this program in the past shoot themselves in the foot, lay down to competition, and we saw a lot of that last year, early on especially. So it's important to take those next steps and just end it quickly.
Absolutely. And there's is something on the table that the Washington Huskies under Jed Fish have. So getting that monkey off our back would be a huge, especially not only going into Ohio State, but then moving on the week after that, going to Maryland and College Park. So it's something that we need to achieve, and this is a good way to do it. And to feel like this is possible that we've been able to do it before. It's just that we have not followed through and done what we need to do.
Whether you're surrounded by grain silos or I don't know what is in College Park, Maryland, to be honest with you. I've never been there. But buildings bigger than 2 stories, allegedly. Yeah, just take care of business and get the hell out of there. I think we keep saying
Absolutely.
the same thing.
What are some of the positions on both sides of the ball that you're going to be looking at and looking for, especially in terms of matchups against Wazoo?
So I'm really big on the offensive line continuing to gel. And if I am correct, and maybe I'm wrong, if I am correct, and they're just going to bring every exotic blitz in the book, it's really important that the offensive line, the tight ends, the running backs are all on the same page, knowing who's got whom. I think because I'll tell you what, it could be the biggest favor in the world if they do that to us and just give us different looks because Ohio State is exactly like, now Ohio State has talent. They have a lot of guys who are going to play in the league, but they'll show you different fronts. They'll give you different looks. They'll walk people up. They have no intention of blitzing. They'll switch their coverages on the fly. They'll play combo coverages. They're just, they're going to do anything they can to get you uncomfortable and make you make a mistake. So I'm perfectly happy to see the Cougs try to tee off, and it's just so important that we get rid of the ball on time. That's been my critique. That my one critique of Demond in the first couple of games: get the ball out, let your guys do the work. Don't go for the shot every single time. Just get the ball out like he was in high school. Just boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
play
boom.
within yourself is I think what you're saying.
Yeah,
Don't try and force it. So it sounds like you're really looking for the offensive line to take another step in gelling together.
because I know that they are going to be the most important unit the week after in
Mhm,
several
mhm.
weeks. And that's not to say the D line. I would like to see the D line wake up a little bit and start winning battles on the line of scrimmage because we played two lower level opponents and they haven't really distinguished themselves. I don't say they're playing bad, but I mean, let's win some one-on-one matchups and some pass rush, and let's go. I think Durfee started to come alive when he was, putting his hand in the dirt and he was able to, bull rush a tackle here or there. I think Jacob Lane has done that. I think he's won reps, but the interior guys are just taking up space, and that's fine. I mean, you need guys to eat up blocks and let your linebackers do it. But when it's time to tee off on third and long, you got to get home.
Yeah, that would be something that I absolutely watch for because that's a unit that the Huskies should be able to beat fairly easily.
I
Washington's
mean, we match up like we are basically a win across the board in just about every position group. I know we were joking around. Their kicker's been perfect on the season, and that's cool. Um, but I mean, we haven't had any issues with the kicking game. So I mean, we got Denzel Boston returning punts for touchdowns. So I feel like we win special teams as well. But I don't know, man. It's really hard to assess how they're going to attack Washington after seeing what they did last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of a great like way to mess with our minds because it's like how do you prepare for someone who just like literally took a giant crap in their own bed?
And there's a lot of Cougs, on social media. They're
Perfect.
calling for the backup quarterback, the backup to the backup quarterback. They think that he's
That's
going to
gonna
be a better.
help.
Cool, but you better block. I mean, you better. Somebody's got to get open, and we might not have Takario this week. I think that's
I
like
don't think we
game
will.
time decision. But yeah, they might hold him back, and so it's up to the other guys to kind of step up. And I want to see Ephesians catch a couple of these balls that seem to find him throughout the game.
Yeah.
If they're just going to throw you the ball, man, just let's take that back the other way, okay?
Absolutely. And as our buddy Hood Husky on the Sound and Siren podcast calls turnovers cookies. How many cookies do you think the Huskies are going to get, if any?
I'm I feel pretty confident that McLaughlin's going to take one away. I feel pretty confident that the physicality of the defense and just being, tough. I think we can strip the ball a couple times. I think if we don't come away with three turnovers, I think it's like we miss the opportunity. But I mean, it's the Apple Cup. Who knows?
Yeah, it's really hard to predict rivalry games. And as much as, we are the better team, we're better coached, we have better players, it's a rivalry game. You never know what's going to happen. Well, it's a rivalry to one school, it's little brother to us. So
Yeah, just don't like the fact that we lost last year because they got a whole year of bragging rights, and I think it's important to thoroughly beat that out of them on Saturday.
I think there needs to be a message. And the last time the Huskies lost to Washington State, and then we had under Michael Penix in Rome, we went into Washington State and sent them a message. And I remember like Rome was on Pac-12 Network talking about like what the game meant to him, and he said like yeah they tried to like put ropes around their logo because they thought that we were going to plant the flag, and he was like nah we're cool, we're going to take that cup and go back to the crib. That's what the Huskies need to do.
Yeah, that's very much little brother energy right there. We don't need to stoop to that level.
We really don't. It's enough for Washington to simply right the wrong that was last year and restore order in the Pacific Northwest, and that's putting the Apple Cup trophy back where it belongs on Mont Lake. So, what needs to go right, and what needs to happen for the Dogs for us to come out with a win writ large, or even better, a win and maybe doubling the spread?
We've got to get on the plane. We've got to arrive there safely at the wheat field that they land in. I don't know exactly where. They have to get on the right buses and get to the stadium on time. And even if they show up like right before kickoff, I think like a quick 5 minute warm up and stretch, and we should be okay. No, I'm joking. Just like I said, just don't look ahead. Don't feel like this is the the warm up to the big one the next week, which, we all are kind of thinking it that way, but
Mhm.
and just take pride in your performance. Like I always, I had a conversation with players last week in our program. Like, if you're not where you want to be, put it on film. If you are where you want to be, put it on film and prove that you're supposed to be here. Like the film, film don't lie. So if you're taking plays off and you're goofing around and you're not taking advantage of your opportunities, there will be somebody in that program ready to step up and take your spot. Like we talk about the offensive line battle, Pocky and John Mills. They're both great kids. They're both good players, and right now John Mills has the advantage. If Mills comes out and he doesn't know what he's doing, Pocky steps right up.
Mhm.
You know, and so we lost Rashid Williams for an extended period of time. Next man up. Omari Evans is probably going to be back this week. Next man up. Let's go. So I think a huge advantage for us is that we have so much depth
Mhm.
compared to what they're working with right now. I mean, their leading receiver has like 145 yards total. Their quarterback has 600 yards passing in 3 games. Their rushing attack is kind of non-existent. Um, it's going to be if the Washington defense does what they can do, it's going to be a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. And short of a natural disaster and a plane crash, what does Washington State have to do to beat Washington?
Play the most inspired. Like they have to channel their like 90s movie. There's this underdog.
Drew Bledsoe has to come back in quarterback.
They need to kick out their coach at halftime and take over play calling duties with their injured quarterback. And, I mean, it's varsity blues blueprint right there. Um, and then run a trick play to their offensive lineman who scores the winning touchdown. And, that's how, it's a necessary roughness varsity blues type of blueprint. And that's probably what it's going to take. Just some kind of like, do you believe in miracles? I mean, not in this example, but yeah, I mean, it's going to take an inspired effort and a really lackadaisical one by UW.
How likely is it, do you think, that there's a lackadaisical, uninspired, not committed effort by Washington, considering what we witnessed last year?
I think the complacency is not going to be an issue. I think they've been hearing about it for the last 2 weeks about what happened at Lumen Field last year. So I know most of the main players on this team were in that game last year. In fact, one of them was on the other side of it, so he can give a perspective on what that was like, and he could probably grind some gears in the practices in the meeting rooms and stuff like that. Just talking about how fun it was, how hyped they all were. I mean, to sort of paraphrase a famous coach, John Mateer's not walking through that door. Sorry, guys. He's at Oklahoma now.
Heisman favorite.
It's early, but I mean, he's doing well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's up to us, it's up to Washington to make this game a memorable one and to right the wrong of last year. Washington, the way I look at Apple Cup every year is I think of the Apple Cup winning that game in the same way that I expect a high school senior not to wet their pants. Like I I expect to win that game.
Oh,
When you don't, it's like what in the bejesus was happening? Like what was the chain of events to lead to that? Of course, there are exceptions when Washington State's quite good, but particularly last year, there was just simply no excuse for that. And
no.
um,
But
to
that was
my
the
knowledge,
first sign. That was the first sign of the first red flag of this team's DNA last year, which was anytime they're away from Husky Stadium, they're going to wet their pants like that senior who doesn't wet their pants. But yeah, yeah, it was just that was last year. This is a completely different team. We think they're pretty good, so you know, you beat teams like this when you're a good team.
that's right. And good teams win, great teams cover, which is not what Oregon did last week. So, speaking of covering, let's make bold predictions. What is the final distance apart that the two teams will be when at the end of the game?
So, not that I'm endorsing any kind of wagering or,
You'd never do that, coach.
but when I took a gander, the line was like 19 and a half. I think it was originally 13 and a half, and it like went up
Yeah.
because like, who the hell thinks that this is normal? And I decided that I was going to put a not substantial, a decent amount of money on covering. So if they don't cover, I jinxed it. It's on me. Don't blame them. It's on me. It's my fault. I'm not supposed to win money. But yeah, I think that's going to be a 30-point victory if, and my biggest thing is get the win. I don't care if it's by 20, 30, 80. I do care if it's by less than 20. And just everybody stay healthy and be ready to go for conference play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were on this podcast a week and a half ago talking about a 70 burger. That would certainly be nice. I don't think it's likely 2 games in a row for the Huskies, especially given that we have not won a road game. True road game, meaning like, yes, we won the Pac-12 championship game. That's a neutral site. Obviously, we won the Sugar Bowl, neutral site. True road game we have not won since we were in Corvallis in 2023.
Dang.
So it's been a minute, and I will be satisfied
Wait, we can't count the Sugar Bowl?
because that's, well, I mean, it was technically a neutral
Pretty
site.
far.
I mean, you're not wrong, but technically it wasn't. I mean, I would say the Alamo Bowl was far more of an away game than the Sugar Bowl because it wasn't in the Sugar Bowl wasn't at least in the state of Texas. So, but I see your point. All that to say, I'm gonna go ahead and predict 35 points for a.
Okay. I think 30 is the probably the minimum point of where we should be. Our expectations
Mhm.
are. Um, Great thing about college kids is they don't really care, do their own thing. But I would be shocked if we did not score 50 in this game.
I would agree. I would agree. I would also really like to see what's our quarterback's name again?
Oh,
Kai?
don't do this to me, Kai.
Yeah, I would like to see Kai play the entire fourth quarter. I would really like Devond to channel his inner Jake Browning and kick up his heels in the fourth quarter and just watch.
I would like Demond to be leading at least 7 touchdown drives and then park it early in the second half. And then just, yeah, have the backups go do another 7. I don't give a shit. Like it's not my feelings. If you want to score 14 touchdowns in a game, do it. I don't care.
Right. Well, they can cry under their cereal the next day. So we're going to talk about what's going on around the top 25, what other football games that might be happening. Starting with Utah is hosting Texas Tech, which is a match
Oh, yeah.
17, playing with their pants on fire right now. They are playing really, really inspired football, and that's a big game over in Utah.
If their pants are on fire, are they liars?
Maybe. I mean, they live in Utah, so they're lying about how good their beer is. That's for sure.
Okay. I gotta tell you, I've been surprised as anybody with like the whole Texas Tech being a decent team or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Gosh, I haven't watched 1 minute of Utah this year. Um, what's the spread?
That game, Utah by a field goal. They're home.
If they're at home, then I think Utah's gonna be okay.
I think Utah will win by 10.
But I think it's gonna be a little bit closer than that.
Eh. It's hard to tell because when they beat UCLA, we didn't know how bad UCLA was, and now we really know. So, and
UCLA versus the Cougs. Who wins?
the refs,
I'm gonna say UCLA, but it is close.
you'd say
Shout out
UCLA, but
Trevor.
it's close. Yeah, shout out Trevor. I think
By the way,
probably
when I
you're right.
oh, go ahead. Say it again.
I said probably you're right. I think UCLA probably, I mean, surely has more talent than Washington State.
On on the way home tonight, I called Trevor trying to talk him into, you know, drying his tears and getting on the pod with us tonight. And he was, when like small children cry and they start hyperventilating, he's like, "It's too soon," and it was really hard to listen to. So I had to cut him off. I was driving and I was trying not to laugh, and it was really bad. So Trevor, we're thinking about you.
We
We're
love you,
not thinking
Trev.
good things, but we are thinking about you.
in this very hard time. Although it does make I know I was one of the ones who predicted a loss at the Rose Bowl against UCLA later this year. Yeah, that was before we knew how bad UCLA was, in fairness to me. But all
I'm
that,
thinking about going to that game just to celebrate.
I think that would be great. I think it's a great choice. That's typically for Washington, that has been a house of horrors for us. Not as bad as Sun Devil Stadium, but darn close, especially against UCLA. So,
It's always the same thing. Go down there, that grass is different than the turf and whatever. It's always something, but I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think if you have a good team,
yeah.
things will happen.
The next big game that is going to be coming our way is also Saturday. That is a 12:30 Pacific time kick against Auburn and Oklahoma, with Oklahoma at home, and that's a 6.5 point spread in favor of Oklahoma.
I was kind of surprised by Auburn last week, and I thought, oh, they kind of like okay, because Auburn, they always have a lot of talent. And then you watch them, you're like, this is kind of sloppy. I actually didn't think they were that bad. So here's the thing with Oklahoma: they got Michigan. That was a big game, obviously, but Michigan is still kind of green at quarterback and a couple other spots, replacing a lot of NFL talent. I don't necessarily believe that Oklahoma is an elite team yet, just by what I saw. So the home field advantage can count for a little bit. I'm gonna. I think John Mateer is the X factor, and until someone proves that they can stop him from breaking the pocket and just doing stupid things to them, I think that he's worth a 3 point to 7 point win.
Probably true. Oklahoma, they looked pretty good beating Michigan too, so they might be for real. Who knows? I guess time will tell. And first test is playing Auburn on your home field. So the last big kind of clash of both teams being ranked is Indiana hosting number 9 Illinois. Indiana is number 19. Obviously, Illinois is number 9. Indiana is favored by 6.5.
I would take um, Illinois all day long on that one. I, I don't know why I feel that way. I don't think Illinois is a great team. But if I wanted to just kind of nitpick anything, is like I don't know how good Indiana really is. We didn't know how good Indiana really was until Notre Dame showed up last year.
And
So I think it's really important to just remember that karma's a bitch, and when your head coach is a giant douchebag who tells everybody they're idiots for not believing them all last year, sorry there wasn't like 40 kids you could pull in the portal from your old school from last year. I don't know. I'm not going to believe in Indiana, so I'll just take Illinois in a little bit of an upset.
yeah, I think those are two sort of paper tigers in the conference.
I'm
Um,
still not an Illinois believer.
I know that.
I think Altmaier is a very good quarterback. I think that as he builds chemistry with his guys, they can definitely get better.
I
But
would love for them to go into Indiana and think that's a really big game and a really big win, only to get absolutely trounced at Husky Stadium.
that you see the vision.
I do.
Inflate that ranking until they get to us.
Yeah, I would love for Illinois to be top 7 when they go down at Husky Stadium. So,
Yeah.
um,
And if we're unbeaten by that point, I mean, we might be getting to the top 15.
don't get crazy. I mean, if the Husky, I would say the Huskies, if we can pivot now back to the Huskies and talking, we can look ahead because we're not coaches. We can look ahead to Ohio State. I think if the Huskies even give Ohio State a pretty good game, I think we'd receive votes. What do you think?
It won't matter unless we win.
I hear
Nobody
you.
will care unless we win. It could be a 1 point loss. It could be a dramatic overtime deal. I still think that we got to win that game just to get into the dance as far as the rankings go.
This is something that Jason and I have talked about a little bit. And how do you feel about rankings before like middle of October?
You know how I feel about that.
Please talk
I
about it.
despise them. I think they're a waste of time. We see every year the same names over and over again. And it's just muscle memory at this point.
Hmm.
Hey, Michigan lost everybody. But they're still talented. They got good recruits. So you're number 13. And, I mean, just this crap goes on and on every single year. And then we watch the first 3 weeks and go, that was a surprise. Where'd they come from? I mean, they suck or they're good or but we didn't know that because we let a bunch of people who are spending 5 minutes to fill out a ballot determine what your perception is of their worth. So it's really important that we just stop doing this. They won't. They won't stop doing it.
It's
The
all
only
it's all
rankings.
it's all ratings, and it's money because ratings are money, but it means that, I think the Huskies deserve to be ranked right now? No. Do I think they deserve to have receiving votes? Yes, I do. And I think being buried at 8 o'clock kickoff times has not helped us. But hopefully that's the last one of the last times that we'll have to. I don't think they're going to bury us with an 8 p.m. kickoff against an East Coast team.
Mm, yeah.
I'd be really surprised by that. So I think we've seen the last of that this season. And I'm very grateful that they announced the kickoff time for Ohio State. It's 12:30. So that's exciting because we're going to be on prime time, and we better be prepared and we better play well.
And my flight better not be delayed. And
When do you touch down?
it's supposed to be around a little bit before 9 o'clock a.m. 6 a.m. flight because we got a game on Friday night against Saguaro. So very important that I get a few hours of sleep, and then I've done this before. I did this for the Oregon game. I did this for um, shoot, I can't remember if I did for USC or not, but yeah, I mean, I don't care. I just don't want to be delayed because then you
Yeah,
start
me
getting
neither.
nervous. I was supposed to be. Me and my friends took that trip to San Diego in May to watch the Mariners series, and I took a flight that should have been in San Diego by 3 o'clock. Short flight. They're like, "Why don't you drive?" And I go, "Because I don't want to." It got delayed so many times that I got to the game in the second inning and went straight from the airport. I just don't want to see that. That's like my biggest fear.
Are you taking the train into the stadium?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm gonna kind of coordinate with some people, but yeah,
Okay.
I
Well,
love the light rail, man. That's awesome.
it's great. Yeah, so I mean, we can talk a little bit about what the Huskies need to do, what kind of looks we think we need to put on film that preserves something in the tank that is new for Ohio State, but then also shows them enough to be worried about stuff.
I think the trap that you can get into as a coach is thinking that we just have to be vanilla because other teams are not stupid. They know what you've done throughout your history as a coach. They know what your system is. They know what your non-negotiables are. They know what your bread and butter is. So if you just go out the next week and run triple option, they're like, "This is bullshit. We're not going to see this." I might as well don't even watch that film. I mean, that's exactly what happens. So what I think is do what you do. Save your fun stuff, obviously. Like they saved the fun stuff for the Michigan game last year with the throwback pass from Demond and just a couple little trick things that they did. They weren't busting those out against whoever. It's the big time prime time games, the big time opponent. Obviously, a lot of eyes because it was a rematch of the national championship game. But I think for Ohio State, I think the tricks will come out of the bag a little bit, and then they'll just move on and do something else. But I'm not worried about showing them anything because you still have to stop it.
Yeah, that's true. It's just fun to think about, a week and a half out because we're all kind of penciling in, or maybe even putting in bold Sharpie marker a W this weekend. So, but of course, we can do that. The coaching staff, the players, we want them squarely and laser focused on this game on Saturday.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of that, like you might not see your most exotic fronts, defensive fronts, blitzes, whatever. I don't know if you need to break those out against Wazoo. There's going to be a couple
Shouldn't need
things.
to.
What's that?
You should not need to.
Hopefully not. And then you remember back to the 2023 team that needed that double reverse on fourth and one to beat the Cougs. And it's like, dude, this team was so much better than that team. What happened? And it's just one of those things you dick around long enough and you know,
Mhm.
it happens.
For all his faults, in his time at Washington, I would say Chris Peterson did an outstanding job of making sure the kids were laser focused, completely prepared, and opened up a special can of whoop ass for the Apple Cup every single time.
He got it. He understood the assignment.
Absolutely. Which is like, obviously Sark had, I think he was he here 5 or 6 years, whatever it was. He only lost one time. That's the last time Washington State has beaten Washington in Pullman. And that was.
I'm still pissed at the refs in that game.
I'm still pissed at the fact that we blew an 18-point fourth quarter lead.
A lot of flags.
A lot of flags.
Oh
Who
well.
knows? Who knows how sober our coach was either? So, not a lot left to talk about with this game. We can go ahead and wrap up, and we will hopefully talk about a game that we really weren't worried about, and maybe you won't even see a doom text from me. Hopefully not.
Yeah, it's too early in the season to really harvest these doom texts.
I think you'll see the
So
first one against Ohio State.
yeah, you'll be able to wave. We'll be able to wave at each other from other opposite sides of the stadium.
Yeah, I do have thoughts and prayers for JCap. Shout out JCap because he usually gets the brunt of.
Yeah, we
Oh
all
well.
enjoy them.
I think, yeah, he looks forward to them, and he looks also forward to blocking me for 4 hours a day. So with that, we can wrap up tonight's podcast. Be sure to check us out also on YouTube. Even though it's just me and Coach, it was always fun. It's always a pleasure to see you, buddy. And we're at Fourth and Inches, a Husky podcast.
We don't talk to each other all day long anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Fourth and Inches, a Husky podcast dash J3X, I want to say. Trevor can correct me on that. Or if you just prefer to listen to us like normal people do, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you like to listen. So we will wrap this up and talk to you after this big win. So for Coach V and Trevor Mueller and Jakey Grant in absentia, I'm UW Leah. I'm going to quote my dad, who once said, there is a great fountain of mediocrity situated in Pullman, and everyone who lives there must drink from it. There are no exceptions. Go eat a big fat dub. Go dogs.
Go dog! Shout out Gone Girl.